What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the MisanthroPod Movie Club.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yay.
wow, yeah.
Woo, yay.
Yeah, no one's ever done this before.
Wholly original podcast format.
Well, we're just full of original ideas. I am Snipe, and for the first time ever, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
I'm also, who's this guy? Oh, it's Drummer Matt, I guess.
Hi.
How are you? Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, good start.
Good
I'm
start.
fine. I'm
I
fine.
somehow didn't drop the ball. It was Drummer Matt there.
I assumed you were asking Web. Okay.
No, I asked him.
I'm fine. Matt, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Snipe?
I'm definitely recording a podcast right now.
I'm excited for our new thing.
Oh, yeah, I am too. Because, previous listeners, you deranged darlings, we had, the MisanthroPod original it was originally like, what have we done? And talking about media, and then it just evolved into dick jokes and cum. You know, the two types of humour.
I mean, I think it did stay exactly as what it started as, but it's just...
The structure completely lost... It was like the worst immediately, if you know what I mean. I'm not explaining myself very well.
I think I think it had just come to the end of its life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what we've done is we've decided to reboot it. As people who are listening on like the podcast feed, this will just take over from the MisanthroPod from now on. And what we're going to do is each episode, we are going to watch a movie, which will be selected by one of us that we have decided that we want to
Inflict.
inflict, on our friends, so that we can talk about it. It's basically, if any of you listen to my old podcast, Men with Funny Heads, it's that, but not explicitly just sci-fi. Mm-hmm. We are going to do that, and it is, regrettably,
Unfortunately,
my choice.
It was Wib's choice for the first episode.
Yeah, it is my choice. And I have chosen the 1995 epic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
I am so angry.
I was very excited.
I was not.
So, do you either what is either both of yours experience with this movie before this point?
I had nothing. I used to watch some Power Rangers as a kid, but it was definitely not this movie.
Who
I
was
shouldn't
your
call it a
favourite
film.
Power Ranger?
Ooh, at various times I liked the green one.
The green one, yeah.
Everyone thought the
but-
green one was the coolest. I didn't. I thought he was lame and silly and a bit of a goofus.
He had a robot Godzilla.
Was the green one a baddie at one point?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that might
He
have
started
been
off as a baddie.
that might have been the era that I watched, but I have no context for what that is, or when that was, or anything.
That's like the latter half of season 1, I believe.
Okay.
I just like how he played his knife like a flute.
He did. It was very normal.
Very normal thing to do. I used to watch a lot of Power Rangers as a kid. I was super into it. The Yellow Ranger was my jam. One of the few Christmas presents I ever got from my parents was a Yellow Ranger costume, which
Nice.
in like, especially like during the Australian like Christmas, it was the cheapest, most itchiest fucking thing. But I did not take that off for a long-ass time, and I loved it. By the time the movie came out, I think I'd started dropping off it. Because everyone at school was like, oh my god, have you not seen Power Rangers? It's because you're poor and stupid. And I'm like, well, one of those things is true.
It's the movie came out between the second and third seasons of the show, so
Yeah.
it's it's.
But I never got to see it, so it's like I was kind of like, the only thing I remember is there's a part where the Yellow Ranger in the movie is like, I'll activate my lights, because they still can't act. And then like it cuts to her wearing like a helmet that's 3 inches taller with like proper like floodlights in them.
Look, it was 1995. They had to put some incandescent bulbs in there. They couldn't put like bright LEDs in there because those didn't exist.
I know,
in that kind
but
of.
But that's
factor.
the only thing I remembered about it. And then when I'm watching this, I realized I'd never seen the movie.
Okay. Because I watched the shit out of it as a kid.
What,
I
the
loved
movie?
it. The movie, yeah.
Ooh.
I assume you had it on
really?
the VHS.
Yeah, I had it on VHS. I watched it a bunch because I was really big into Power Rangers. I had all the Zords up to the 3rd season because I was a very lucky, spoiled child.
There's 3rd season Zords. Oof,
The ones that are in this are the 3rd season Zords.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to fill people in who have somehow maybe not ever watched Power Rangers, the original show, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which I think was released in like 1992 or 93 or something.
I think it was 93.
Was a show where they took segments of a Japanese Super Sentai series, which I wrote down,
Kyoryu Sentai Zuranger.
Good work. And they took the action sequences from that, and then they recontextualized them and overdubbed them and inserted footage of Western teenagers.
30-year-olds.
30-year-old. I think they were. I don't think any of them were that old at the time.
They were like mid-20s.
I think they may have all been about like 20.
But they smell like teenagers, so that's the important bit.
I'm
canonically.
Okay, we'll get to that. And so it was sort of this mishmash, and the stories in Power Rangers bear very little resemblance to the stories that the action sequences were taken from. I have actually seen some of the original series, and it's astonishingly good, actually. The original Super Sentai series.
You know what's really funny? Because when I was a child, I was unaware that basically America was like, well, we can't get like American kids to enjoy something that doesn't have white people in it who speak English, so let's put some white people in there. I appreciate the cast was quite diverse, but that's beside the point. And it's like, I always thought it's like, oh, it's so weird how like everything looks different when the Power Rangers are fighting.
It's weird
how
how
I
the
just
film.
didn't notice.
Yeah, it's weird how the film stock changes.
Yeah, I was just like, that's weird. Oh well.
It was like when they have to go outside in a British sitcom in like the 70s.
Christ, yeah.
But yeah, so it ended up, the series lasted for, well, it's still going, frankly.
Well, now they're down to like, this is like Shogun, Ninja, Zookeeper, Zords, or whatever. They're going through the alphabet.
They've done every conceit multiple times.
It's EastEnders for children.
And as far as I'm aware, it is all part of one continuity. But there's also the whole thing of that there's the Japanese Super Sentai series and there's Power Rangers, and I don't know enough about the wider franchise to know how those two things fit together on crossover things.
Oh God!
I'm not even going to go into that.
And also, even within this, like the film that we're going to talk about today, isn't even in continuity with season 3. Apparently,
no.
So even within itself, it's not.
It makes sense up to season 2, and then when the movie came out, it could have been in canon, and then the 3rd season came out and has a completely different origin story for how they get their new Zords and powers that happen in this movie. It just has a completely different version of it. So yeah, that is the basic thing going into this. So teenagers with attitude who get powers, and it gives them giant robots for them to fight. Monsters that start off small and then get big.
I honestly, as a kid, it was like a little giggle moment where I was like, oh, I wonder how the monster's gonna get big. It was because it always did. And then we're like, oh no, oh shucks. Guess we gotta make our Megazord big and fight the big thing.
This is the funny thing.
And they would always voice it over like they were surprised.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it's gotten bigger.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And this is the interesting thing is that the Japanese show it's based on actually has a bit of a scale-up thing. The Zords don't appear for many episodes, and then they don't form a Megazord until like episode 10. as opposed to in episode 1, which is how it happens in Mighty Morphin Power
happens in
Rangers.
Star Wars. It's really weird, actually.
It's terrible. Anyway,
Not
shall I
bad,
start?
just
Shall I start actually talking us through the movie?
Yes! Power Rangers, 1995.
So the movie starts with a little text crawl giving a basic rundown of Zordon, the guy who gave the Power Rangers their powers, his assistant Alpha 5, who's just a little weird robot guy, and how they gave 6 teenagers with attitude powers.
How
and
they
giant
forcibly
robots.
made a bunch of children color code themselves, and apparently no one ever put
Yeah,
two
we'll
and two
get there. But basically, it's just a text call to explain to all the parents in the audience what the fuck is going on. And then a title card comes up with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, that then explodes, and then we see the Power Rangers themselves jump out of a plane skydiving whilst the Red Hot Chili Peppers play to show how radical and tubular they are.
I was wondering why Tommy is the only one with like he's like got a
Skyboard.
skyboard on, and like it's like so. Pick the main character.
Yeah, it's because he's the most radical and the most tubular.
I mean, you know what's funny? A lot of people I think would assume that I had a crush on Tommy because he had like the shaved sides and the earring. I did not. I thought Billy was super hot. I was like, I love me a bookish man. I was growing up in the deep south, apparently.
Apparently.
My father, Foghorn Leghorn, would come in every morning.
But yeah, these 6 teenagers
With attitude?
With attitude.
Okay.
Are all wearing the colour that their Power Ranger persona wears, and they do this all the time throughout the whole movie and the whole show.
Really weird how like consistent it is.
And on the occasions when you see someone before they are a Power Ranger, they're not dressed colour-coded, and the moment they become a Power Ranger, they start dressing colour-coded, and when in the series someone changes from one Ranger to another so their colours change, they change their wardrobe as well.
Like Tommy was like, he started out as a Green Ranger, so he was wearing green all the time.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you're the white Power Ranger. Ooh.
White Tiger.
White Tiger, yeah.
You always
they
put
were-
the tiger in there because otherwise
White
it's upsetting.
Tiger Ranger. Suddenly he's like, I just want to be a Backstreet Boy. I'm gonna dress all in white. It's gonna be so cool.
But yeah, anyway, so they all hurl themselves out of a plane to go do skydiving.
Apart from Bulk and Skull,
Bulk and Skull
the
are
series
also
is
there.
problematic MLM representation.
Yeah, there's a couple of characters called Bulk and Skull
They're the goofy comic relief.
who are the comic relief bullies, basically, but they're just weird and incompetent. Annoyingly, the Bulk and Skull theme tune, not in this movie.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's not in this movie.
Because that fucking whips dick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's the best song ever.
But I feel I should just for a moment, this won't come up again, basically, ever. But to go through the Power Rangers individually,
Okay.
just here. So you
Introducing the titular character.
So
I
the
still don't know
characters-
which one's which, but after watching
Don't
the
worry,
movie-
don't worry, it doesn't matter. So you've got Aisha the Yellow Ranger, Adam the Black Ranger, Rocky the Red Ranger, Kimberly the Pink Ranger, Billy the Blue Ranger, and Tommy the White Ranger, who's basically the leader of them.
Rocky
Now,
was the leader, and then Tommy was like, get cut.
Yeah, the red started off as the leader. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it should be noted that at no point do you need to remember any of these individual names, because in this movie especially, none of these are characters. There is one Gestalt entity called the Power Rangers that acts as one character in 6 bodies.
Yeah.
It's like it's Cronenbergian in design, but kid friendly.
Yeah, do not worry about it, remembering which one is which. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You will not be rewarded for your knowledge.
Also, I'm going to point this out real early, because the original lineup, Zack and Trini, Zack the Black Ranger and Trini the Yellow Ranger, were African American and East Asian respectively, which is pretty fucking dodgy.
I remember being told that, but I wasn't sure. I was really hoping that was one of those sort of mass... What's the thing where everyone misremembers something? And
Mandela effect.
Yeah, I was really hoping it was one of those things, and it
No.
wasn't actually... okay.
No. But the thing is,
no.
the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger in this have like they're played by new actors.
Yeah.
And the Yellow Ranger is
They
played...
did swap in the series as
Yeah,
well.
the Yellow Ranger is played by a black lady, and the Black Ranger is played by an East Asian gentleman. So it's like, okay, that is proof that they noticed, even if it wasn't intentional, which, God, I hope it wasn't. Probably wasn't. Please, that would be so fucked.
It does
And
feel...
they were like, fuck, oh no.
It does feel a little like they went, oh shit, we've got to recast this, we fucked up.
Yeah.
But also it was the 90s, so they probably didn't think that.
Yeah, that's true. Especially considering one of the actors received a lot of harassment throughout his time on the show for being gay, so they weren't exactly...
stellar representatives.
Yeah, so... okay, anyway.
There's a lot of sad stories coming out of Power Ranger actors' lives.
Yeah.
Pretty miserable.
Anyway, so they all dive out of a plane. There's a whole scene. Red Hot Chili Peppers are playing. We all acknowledge how rad and tubular everyone is.
They're pretty rad and tubular.
Pretty rad and tubular.
The attitude on display was pretty intense.
Bulk and Skull are there doing comic relief. And we then cut to down in a park, and all of the Power Rangers land on a target, which in some nebulous way is apparently raising money for an observatory. I don't understand it. Don't worry, it doesn't come up again.
I think they're probably they were sponsored to be part of a thing. And, like, nobody notices that they've jumped out of a plane until, like, the guy goes, oh, look up, there they are now. And then they land instantly. And it's like, so all this cool shit they were doing, nobody was paying attention to.
Oh, yeah, it was just for kicks. All the flips and spins they were doing in the sky was just for them.
It was because they're so radical and tubular.
Yeah, they're too radical and tubular.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Anyway, they land on the ground. There's a kid there who you kind of assume is going to be important to the plot because he has a lot of lines. Fred, yes. I until the very end of my notes, I don't notice what his name is.
Also, can I just say, the guy who plays Fred's dad is the most made-in-a-lab American man I have ever seen in my life.
You might be right there. Yeah.
He literally looks like they tried to condense America into one human being.
Anyway, they mention in passing that there's it's good the observatory is going to get its money because there's a comet passing by in 2 days. Remember that. It's an important tool that will help us later.
I forgot that and thought it came out of nowhere later.
How much attention were you paying?
Anyway, we then cut to the Power Rangers all going rollerblading again. Radical and tubular.
Very radical and tubular.
And they take a shortcut through a construction site which violates many health and safety guidelines, I'm sure. As they are going through that, we see that Bulk and Skull finally land from their skydiving escapade, and they land inside the construction site, where they get yelled at by, like, the foreman. Who
I honestly, at that point, thought was that kid's dad again.
He did kind of look kind of similar.
Yeah, I was just like, is that his dad? How did he get here so fast?
And but the construction workers are then distracted because, coincidentally, a big ominous lid with a big spooky face on it is unearthed.
That's probably nothing.
Which they then pull the lid off this thing with a crane, and a giant, like, evil-looking hand erupts from it with a big purple egg in its clutches.
Okay, so this evil clawed hand has 3 fingers. It felt like it should have 4. That's a very minor nitpick there. But it just looked like it was...
I think it's just supposed to look monstrous and alien.
No, it just looked like it was asymmetrical and weird. I wasn't impressed by the giant claw holding the egg.
Hands are asymmetrical.
No, I mean... you just don't get it.
No, I guess I don't.
No, you're not radical and tubular like me.
Anyway, so one of the construction workers tries to touch the egg and it electrocutes them. So that's bad.
It's a tango egg.
Whilst the Power Rangers are rollerblading away, they get a little message.
I forgot that little beep, beep, beep. That, like, triggered me. I was like...
As it does the Power Rangers theme.
Yeah, it does. Beep, 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 beep. And I literally just freaked the fuck. I was like, oh, like, memories, like, were exploding from my brain.
I always kind of find those things cute when they do it. So Tommy gets a message from Alpha, who is the little robot who helps out their boss, Zordon, and tells them to teleport over right away, and they all turn into light and teleport away in a really obvious way that makes you shocked that no one ever figures out it's them.
Yeah, right.
Especially considering how they always walk around together in the color-coded clothes.
Like, literally lined up in the way the colours are listed as well, always the same. And it's like, wow, Angel Grove residents are really fucking stupid or really fucking incurious.
There is a lot of lead in their pipes.
Yeah, they eat 2 kilograms of lead per day.
Everyone's real happy, but they really do not know what's going on. So they teleport over to their base. Now, an interesting thing, the base in this is like a composite shot. It's not actually the real place, because the real place in the show is, I looked this up because I knew it was a real place, is, it's called House of the Book, and it's part of the American Jewish University's Simi Valley campus.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a real place.
Not the interior or the exterior?
The exterior.
Oh,
that really...
Okay. A really cool kind of...
Yeah, that is a real
wow.
place you can go. It's still
I
around.
I want to go there now.
Yeah, it's in California.
Everything's in California.
But they didn't actually film the real location this time.
Yeah, they didn't have like a big floating head that shouted at orders at teenagers. Weirdly,
I mean, they did.
not in the actual like university.
Oh, okay. What I mean is that they did not go to the real place to film it this time. Yeah. More accurately, they used stock footage most of the time before in the show, but they just have like this weird mock-up of like a kind of photoshopped version with like forced perspective. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why they didn't just. It's a real place. You can just film it. Maybe they couldn't get the.
Well, the rest of it was filmed in Australia, right? So it would have been expensive to send a film crew out.
I was thinking that looked fucking familiar. Okay, of course I'm liable to say that.
And you presumably can't claim the Australian tax credits or whatever reason they went there for if they have one of the shots not there.
Yeah, that's probably true.
A lot of the later seasons are filmed in New Zealand.
I was wondering that as well.
But anyway, so they teleport into their base where there's Zordon, who is just a big face in a tube.
Can I say, New Zordon, I hate it.
You hate it? You don't like New Zordon?
I don't like New Zordon. I liked it when he looked like he was just kind of like... It looked like it was one 30-second clip that they sneak shot like the guy who was making them coffee that day and then ran it through a bunch of VHS filters. And they just kept using that forever.
That is what the original one looked like, kind of, yeah.
Also, you know, Zordon explaining that, I've sealed this guy up for like 6,000 years, completely disproving Christianity. Zordon is an atheist, and he is the worst kind of atheist. He's a Reddit atheist.
That is certainly one way to go.
I have in my notes, Zordon dunks on Christianity.
I think you might be reading.
I'm taking the wrong lessons from this scene.
You are taking the wrong lessons from this scene. Yes. Anyway,
Zordon's all like, "Pixar, it didn't happen."
So they land Alpha, the little robot who has an annoying speech pattern I won't try and replicate. Do not worry. Says there's a massive surge of evil energy that's overloading their sensors. And Zordon, who is a big face in a tube.
He's like handsome Squidward, but not handsome.
I get you. He explains that 6,000 years...
Drummer Man knows what I mean, and he's angry about it.
I just love the sentence, handsome Squidward, but not handsome. But that's not the same as just straight up Squidward.
It's not. It's
very specifically
Squidward.
Different.
It is definitely different.
It's a very specific vibe. Anyway, so Zordon explains that 6,000 years ago, there was a guy called Ivan Ooze who ruled the planet and was trying to build...
That's a terrible name.
Fucking awful.
Oh, terrible. Who was trying to build these things called ectomorphicon titans.
So you caught that. I was just like, it's a thingy. That's cool.
He's building some big robots. That's all you need to know.
Big robots that suck, but we'll get to that.
And he will use these robots to take over the universe, but was stopped by basically earlier iterations of the Power Rangers who locked him inside a giant egg.
Like, you know those eggs you get from, like, pound shops that that they've got, like, slime in them?
They've got, like, an alien in them or something.
Yeah, a little alien and something. You got the goop and stuff.
Yeah,
you can clean your keyboard with it. You can annoy your mum with it. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Throw it at the wall, and then it will leave a stain that will last forever.
Yeah. That's basically the plot of this movie.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, they say, all right, Power Rangers, you need to go and make sure that egg gets back in the pot, like, to reseal it so that no one can open the egg.
Humble that egg.
So they teleport off because the Power Rangers can teleport. It's just a thing.
Provided they're standing in the exact
the right
frame order.
Yeah. Provided
so their weird like light smears can move.
Yeah, provided they're put into an precisely locked off shot. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, their light smears are so. It's such an unsatisfying. Like they fly off and it makes this like rainbow effect almost. But it's just such an if you had to pick 6 colours to do it, it's such an unsatisfying 6 colours.
Especially because the red,
Like the
'cause
red
they've
and the
made
pink
it like light.
basically the
They
same.
look the same. The red and the pink look borderline the same.
Yeah.
Then you've
And
got
there's
white and black.
And black.
Yeah.
It
And
looked
there's
better
blue.
when they had the Green Ranger there.
Yeah, then it was more
absolutely.
rainbowish because then you got the yellow and the blue and everything. But then it's just black.
The black light smear for the teleport always look weird, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I like it because that's my favorite color.
Yeah.
But,
It's very Dark Saber, I suppose, like having a black
the
light.
Black Ranger is the dark saber.
Anyway, so they teleport back to the constructions. Well, they start to teleport back to the construction site, but before they get there, you see around the egg. There's obviously a couple of security guards there, guarding the egg, and the villains from the TV show teleport in, which is Lord Zed, Rita Repulsa, Goldar, and the other one.
Can I just show you my notes for when Lord Zed showed up?
Lord Zed could get it.
I'm sorry, but I always had a crush on Lord Zed.
Well, that's funny because the voice actor for Lord Zed has seen our band perform live at an anime
I
convention.
thought you were going to be like, which is funny because you've actually had sex with him. Like, yeah.
Did you notice how his brain pulsates in this version of the suit?
Yeah, it
No.
was really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I was actually
Is that
focusing on his
practical?
ass.
Okay, this is something I should really mention. So, now Lord Zed is an interesting villain because he wasn't, as far as I'm aware, in the original Japanese show. He was made up for the American show.
Really?
Whereas Rita Repulsa was originally the witch Bandora in the
I love
original
Rita
show.
Repulsa so much.
But yeah, so these are just the villains from the TV show. There's a guy who looks like a pig who I can never remember the name of.
Who cares? Goldar, I don't like his new face. I like his old face better.
There's Goldar, who's like a golden dragon dude with like a blue face and red glowing eyes.
My brain, because like, with his weird sword, my brain always went cricket demon.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
Because he dressed like a fucking cricket player.
Rita Repulsa looks like a witch ran quickly through a Renaissance fair and whatever she
anime.
was wearing afterwards is just what her outfit is.
Which is complimentary. She looks fucking dope.
And Lord Zed is a guy who has been skinned, his brain is exposed, but bits of him are held together by metal.
He's got a metal thong on, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Call back to the old MisanthroPod there.
And he's
built. Oh.
There's a whole thing.
That man is shredded, quite literally.
But anyway, Lord Zed electrocutes the security guards to knock them out and opens up the egg, which turns out is full of purple goo.
It's full of the thing they're going to merchandise for this movie, where you could get pots of like purple slime.
I don't actually remember that.
Well, I don't know if they did. I'm just saying. That
I don't.
There was multiple points in this movie where it felt like they looked at the camera and went, "Don't forget to pester your parents to buy you this." Like when they all had their own special gadgets.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of that actually happened in the same kind of way you'd expect.
They wanted it to, but then they were like, "Yeah." I mean, I'm just speculating
because it happened with the show a lot, but I don't think it happened with this movie as much as you'd expect. Mostly
I haven't
because
watched an episode of Power Rangers in like 30 years because I'm an adult. So
I did watch one about 10 years ago, and oh boy, the original series does not hold up, even compared to this movie. Anyway, through the medium of slightly shaky 90s CGI, the goo forms into our villain, Ivan Ooze.
Awful name.
Who's... Does someone want to try and describe what Ivan Ooze looks like?
He is the worst. He's just a purple dude that's got a couple of tentacles coming out of his chin. And I'm sitting there feeling so bad. I said tentacles.
Chinticles.
You can shut up. I'll make you eat ooze. Okay, tentacles. He's got 2 tentacles coming out of his chin.
Now, the important thing you need to know about Ivan Ooze is that he's
gross.
He's a gross guy, but also the actor playing him, Paul Freeman, is chewing the scenery like a motherfucker, and every moment he is on screen is a delight.
That man is relishing this performance, and honestly, he is a joy.
He is having so much fun. So he pops out and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the ooze is back," because he has lots of catchphrases that are very modern, despite him being locked in an egg for 6,000 years.
You
can probably hear everything. It's fine.
Yeah, I did list in my notes multiple times as we'll carry on, that he's basically the writer's OC Do Not Steal.
Kinda.
Because he's so much cooler than all the other villains.
Yeah.
And all the, like Rita Repulsa thinks he's handsome. And I was like, this is your OC, dude. This is your Mary Sue.
anyway, let's try and get through this a bit quicker. So, Lord Zed basically says, hey, Ooze, will you kill Zordon? And Ooze is like, yeah, I already want to do that, so I'll fucking do it. And the TV villains are like, cool, and then teleport away.
Because nobody wants to see the villains that, we're used to and have fun with.
And
Or
then
fancy.
we get a very worrying line from Ivan, which is, what is that odious stench? It smells like teenagers.
Which, fair.
Yeah.
Fair. It's Link's fucking Africa.
Yeah, that's what you actually smell. You can smell the Link's Africa.
Link's Africa and, Curious by Britney Spears.
Lynx is what Axe is called in the UK, by the way, to American viewers. So the Rangers finally teleport in. They see the opened egg, and then a security guard stops them, and then instantly goes, "Actually, I'm just Ivan. I've shapeshifted.
I'm Ooze.
Hello.
I can do that.
Hello, I'm Ivan Ooze. Ooh." And he's very unimpressed by the fact that they're the Power Rangers because they're like, "We're the Power Rangers," and he's just like, "Oh, all right."
You shit.
And then he summons.
I will say, Kimberly is immediately racist at him. She wastes no time in calling him Raisinhead. And I'm like, Kimberly,
We do not stand for this kind of hatred.
this is not okay.
So he summons some goo monsters out of nowhere, does a Freddy Krueger welcome to my nightmare, and then just fucks off, just teleports away. Because everyone can teleport in this movie. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it also takes the Power Rangers 20 minutes. It's they might as well just be walking. They're on
Well, the thing
scooters.
is that their teleport isn't at the speed of light. It's at the speed of a light jog.
Oh, that's good. Speed of light jog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first fight scene happens, and it's full of somersaults, and it's got terrible, actually truly apocalyptically awful music.
Because it was fight boy, gonna do a fight girl, and it's what?
Yeah.
Are you just describing what you're
Pretty much.
The guy was too busy staying up all night doing cocaine and drawing rollerblades, and then Greg, we need the fight song for the Power Rangers, and he's like, fight boy,
Fight boy, fight girl. Oh shit!
fighting the monsters, cause
this fight scene it is awful because it's full of comic sound effects, the sound effects from Scooby-Doo, and every time they kick one of these goo monsters,
Boys?
they make a fart noise.
Fart
Yeah,
sound
it's
effects, yeah.
gross.
Only for the first half of the fight scene. The fart sound effects go away later.
yeah.
And
I
it's
think they forget.
And I have this thing so. I'll bring this up later because it's more apparent a little later on. But so this is kind of this action scene happens, and they kind of get their ass kind of kicked a bit. So they kind of all get knocked to the edge, and then they're like, "So we need to morph." So they
It's
morph.
morbing time.
It is the titular morphing time.
I love it how the shots for them holding out their transformer, their henshin brooches
It's
are
so
obviously
horrendous.
taken on a different day. The lighting is completely fucking different. You can tell it's been a long ass time on set because they are dead behind the eyes.
I've got a theory.
Okay.
I've got a theory.
Okay.
So, if you remember the TV show, when they go through their henshin, their transformation,
Thank you.
they hold out their power coin thingy, I think it is, and they hold it out in front of them. They scream the name of the dinosaur or prehistoric animal,
The creature.
the creature that their power is based on, and they hold it out in front of them. They yell that, and then they transform. They turn into the thing. Whereas what happens here, because when they do it in the show, there's this graphic over them where they're sort of
There's coloured lightning behind
there's
them.
lightning behind
and there's
them.
a HUD.
Yeah, there's a HUD. It's based on the little thing they're holding, what they're actually in. It's actually kind of a little contextual,
It's weird.
conceptually very strange.
They played
actually.
the same thing, and I've just realised this is the only time you see them actually use their transformation in the entire movie.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which is a bit
yeah.
weird. The classic TV show when we're used
Yeah,
to, I mean.
yeah. So they hold the thing out in front of them, and there's all this fancy stuff on screen, so you don't really notice that because they are being green screened into that, they have to hold really still. Now, when they did it in the movie, they green screen them into the scene that was
They're
originally
already
shot.
in.
Like the just this construction site. So they've got this really plain background, but they're obviously being holding themselves really painfully still because they know they're going to get green screened into something.
It looks so unnatural.
And so they all
Oh,
look
it's
really
horrendous.
bored and unnatural.
It really does look so... It's like, you couldn't have just done this while you were filming the fight scenes?
Yeah.
Because this looks like it's done at like 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah,
Either
they
that
all
or
look
my-
really...
Either that or my
so
my theory was it was like the absolute first take any of them had done before any of them had read the script and none of them had any idea what was going
So
on.
it was like a screen test?
Yeah,
It was like a
and,
lighting test or something?
None of them had it was the absolute first take for every single one of them. And they
I
had
don't know.
no
I find
context.
I find it cute for a Power Ranger actor to be like, oh, I've got to say the name of the dinosaur my power is. Tyrannosaurus. Oh shit! No, I'm the Triceratops one. Oh fuck! Oh fuck!
Yeah.
As if that's not something that they've had to do 50 times in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they turn into their Power Ranger suits.
I've got
which...
my notes here. Hate the new suits.
I like the suits.
I hate them.
I preferred these suits than the ones they get later.
Yeah.
The ones
I have words.
the ones
Like
they get
the-
later, they make a weird different. Like these suits are like all 6 suits are basically the same, which is quite nice.
I think the reason I don't... I do like that. But I think the reason I don't like it is because I've seen Mighty Muffin Pounder Rangers. Which
they
is
have-
the porn parody.
Did they have better suits in that?
Yes!
They objectively didn't.
They did.
The suits in this, I actually think they're kind of cool because unlike the suits in the show, which are just a latex body, not a
have to say
latex,
quickly,
a
if-
lycra bodysuit.
If memory serves, the guy playing Zordon looks exactly like David Cage. And I think his name's like Hard On.
In the
No,
porn
in this
parody.
movie.
No, not in this movie. Don't confuse things.
But no, I don't like it because it just looks like really uncomfortable. They bunch up weird. I mean, I'm glad that
Okay,
they
well, I'll explain what they're like, so you can explain. Because unlike the show, where they are like just a lycra suit with a bike helmet, basically,
sounds great.
they're obviously made of like a vinyl material, but they've got like armor segments on it to like make it look bulkier. And I don't know, I think it makes it look like actually a suit of like mystical armor more so than just a lycra like suit.
Okay, but I'm used to the Japanese suits that are just, what if we're in a body stocking and wear a bike helmet? And I'm like, interesting. I like it. I'm used to it, therefore it's better.
Okay.
Also, like, I'm looking at that going, the stunt actors dressed in these are going to be sweating.
Oh, it looks
They're
horrible
going
to
to
wear.
be they're going to be collapsing at the end of the scene. I've just felt, I think it was a very visceral kind of response of like, I know what it's like to wear stuff like that and exert myself, and it's gross, and I feel really bad for them. So this is a very me thing, don't worry.
Okay. But I like the suits.
Oh, great.
I
Draw
thi-
Matt, do you like the suits?
Yeah, I quite like these suits.
Okay. Also, I found it very funny how they were trying to mimic the Japanese kind of like cinematography and
Yeah, this is-
failing miserably at it.
Yeah, because
This was-
I was having. Oh, go on, Web.
No, I was good. I had a point about this.
Okay.
That this is like a thing that I find really conceptually interesting about this movie, which I guess I can get into now because so they all transform into their things, and their suits are basically just these. They're basically HD versions of the suits from the TV show. This is the easiest way to describe it. Because I think that's the real reason they didn't use the lycra suits, because it looked like shit on film.
Well, I mean, the very, very few times you saw in the TV show where they just had their helmets off, and it was actually the American actors doing full Power Rangers. I remember always going, the suits look like shit.
Yeah,
because
they look cheap.
they look really cheap and terrible. Whereas obviously the Sentai suits, that's a honed craft. They know how to make the things look exactly how they want. So it was kind of like a weird disconnect. Whereas this,
Yeah.
honestly, credit where it's due, this actually looks like it doesn't look like cheap costume shop.
Well, I mean,
shit.
this is the thing. I think the actual all of the special effects, the physical prop work in this movie is genuinely pretty good. It's just all of the visual effects, all of the CGI stuff. That all is really ropey, and it's not because they were lazy. It's because the technology was so primitive in 1995, and they tried to do way too much with it.
Also, I have one more thing to talk about the kind of like Japanese versus like the more kind of American cinematography.
Oh yeah, that's the thing I didn't get to. Which is that they transform and they have a fight, and it's them fighting as the Power Rangers, and this is where it becomes really apparent that unlike the show where they were, overdubbing like action sequences that were for a different show to recontextualize what's happening in them, they have this very different vibe here because they are emulating their like jury-rigged version of things. So you've got like you've got this kind of like conflation of two very different types of filmmaking trying to exist at the same time,
and it just feels weird,
and so it doesn't feel right. So because that this is like a production that isn't made in this like cobbled together way. I think this was the first Power Rangers thing that was wholly Western done.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because I was reading about that.
And the fact that but because it's Power Rangers, they have to emulate the style of the Power Rangers show. So they have to emulate this odd, disconcerting, disconnected way.
Unnatural kind of movement. Because like one of my biggest things that really pissed me off about it and actually started to really grate on me was every time one of them, because they do the thing where it's like, we think children are really fucking stupid, so if one of us is talking, we have to gesticulate like a mad cunt.
And every time they gesticulate, there's a big whoosh sound whenever they move an arm.
Like, it's like, okay, you literally just gave a thumbs up. That is not deserve a...
it's like, fucking wild.
What the hell is happening?
And yeah, I just find that really fascinating because it's like it's using the visual and story language of a different of a show that has all these restrictions on it, but it doesn't have any of those restrictions, but it needs to do it because otherwise it's not Power Rangers.
It's like the weird thing, because this is such a Japanese, especially like a Sentai shot, where they have the camera on the floor pointed up, and then they do flips over it into the fight, and then they're like, ah! And it was like, you could tell they're trying to do that, but they don't quite have like the kind of like the muscle memory to do it like the Sentai ones do, and it feels weird. It looks like someone copying your handwriting.
Yeah.
Like, good on them for trying, honestly, but it's a bit weird.
Yeah, it just doesn't really. I actually think like some of the little like sequences would actually be quite cool, like from as like a stunt work, but with all the horrible sound effects and bad dubbing.
I will say,
it doesn't really.
The stunt work looked pretty solid.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Like the stunt actors in this, they're working hard. They're earning those checks.
Although we did get a little bit out of sequence here because so. Because after they actually do their morphing and they turn into the Power Rangers, all of the monsters actually fuck off and they have to go search for them.
God, that's where the weird headlamps on the fucking...
but then, but before that, it cuts to the base where Ivan has oozed his way into the Power Rangers base. And because he's quite mad at Zordon for, putting him in an egg.
And not even doing it himself, basically tricking children into doing it for him.
I do quite like that his thing is like, do you know what it's like to be in an egg for 6,000 years? It's boring.
I will say, I audibly laughed at, because he starts wrecking stuff and being like, do you have any idea what I've missed? The plague, the Spanish Inquisition, the Brady Bunch reunion. I'm like, is the Brady Bunch reunion as bad as the Black Plague?
Yes.
Wow. That actually made me laugh. I was like, you know what? That was quite fun.
He uses lightning powers to completely destroy the Power Rangers base. And then we cut back to the construction site.
Unhandsomes your unhandsome Squidward.
Does he handsome and then unhandsome the unhandsome Squidward?
That's what I just said, yeah.
Okay.
Try and keep up on it.
Anyway, so we cut back to the construction site where the Rangers are looking for the monsters. We have the thing where the helmet lights are turned on and it becomes visibly a different helmet.
I just have to say the shot made me laugh because it was like, they were like, we can't see anything in here. And, they look at Aisha and she goes, activating fucking whatever, I'm stupid shit I'm calling my lights. And then it the camera cuts off just above where her, like, character's eyebrows are, like, would be on the helmet, and then pans up, and it's, like, 4 inches taller.
Yeah.
And the lights are on, and
The
I'm
eyes are much bigger than on the other version of the helmet.
It was so funny. It's like, why don't all of them have that?
I kind of assume they do.
Yeah, but they were just like, actually, you do it.
Rocky, the Red Ranger, has a weird eye scanner that makes him look like a Cylon. And anyway, the monsters come out and they fight, and yeah, it's the same thing as before, but with more wire work. And when they kill a monster, they explode into goo.
Yeah, it's escalated somewhat since the previous fight.
Because now they're in Power Ranger mode, so they can punch and kick harder.
Yeah.
But what really creeped me out, there's one moment where Billy punches one of these oozes in the chest, and his hand is just, it's like it's covered in blood, but it's ooze.
Oh yeah, that's from the first fight scene.
Yeah, and he goes, you ooze, you lose, and I'm like, it's still not funny.
No. Speaking of Billy, there's a bit where he in this fight scene where he kicks a bunch of them in the head, and the little bonk noise it makes is the Power Rangers like theme.
Yeah, I thought that was so silly, but kind of charming.
Anyway, they kill the remaining goo monsters by crushing them under a skip. And then all of their powers dissipate. Like, their suits disappear, the weapons disappear, and they're like, what the fuck? And they can't call base. And
They have their pterodactyl thunder whips and shit.
And they're like, oh shit, I guess we've got to actually, like, fucking walk.
So they catch a cab.
So, however, they get to wherever the fucking base is. They get there and they find everything wrecked. And Zordon, who it turns out isn't just a face in a tube, but he's actually an oddly smooth man sitting on an uncomfortable bed of crystals.
Which, to be fair, is the most Japanese thing ever.
Yeah.
Of like a coffin or a deathbed made of crystals.
Yeah. And he's dying. And basically all their powers are gone now because the base has been destroyed and the source of the Power Rangers' power is gone. So their giant robots, their Zords, they're gone. Their weapons, they're gone. Their powers, they're gone. They can't teleport or anything. Like, basically they're fucked. And an alpha says, well, the only power that could possibly save Zordon and get your powers back is on a planet called Phaedos, which we've never heard of before. Don't fucking worry about it.
It's fine.
But everyone who's gone there has died, and they only have enough energy to make a one-way teleport. So they're like, well, we'll go save Zordon and get our powers back and stop Ivan, blah, blah, blah.
And they're literally like, oh yeah, so it's a doomed mission. Why not? We're only 16.
Fuck
it.
So they teleport away, and because this teleporting is very slow, it goes past the moon base that the TV show villains have. Because they have a base on the moon. Keep up.
Fake fans.
Now, these villains are annoyed that Oozes apparently let the Rangers go after this great power, because everyone knows about this great power. Literally
everyone. How did you not know?
But Ooze shows up on the moon base and is like...
Original character do not steal.
It's like, fuck y'all, I'm in charge now, and imprisons Lord Zed and Rita into a snow globe. Goldar and the other weird pig guy, I can never remember the fucking name of, join with Ivan. And then Ooze hocks up another chunk of ooze that turns into a bunch of bird monsters.
Tengu.
Yeah. But anyway, these bird monsters that are vaguely purple then fly after the Rangers. They fly with their wings in space. Don't worry about it.
They fly to this planet.
Yeah, they fly to another planet. Now, you see their flight speed. It's about 15 miles an hour.
So, yeah, if they've got the wind behind them.
Phaedos is apparently
space
just
wind
like...
is a thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
They get a solar wind behind them, it's fine. So the Rangers land on this planet of Phaedos, which looks remarkably like Earth, but has a giant weird alien skeleton that actually looks kind of rad.
Honestly, that looks like something from like Red Alert. Not Red Alert. What's that fucking... Oh, God. I can't remember what it was. There was an Easter egg of it in one of the early Fallout games. Star Commander? Supreme Commander?
I don't know.
And it looks like 80s sci-fi bullshit.
Do you mean like the one of the enemies from Wing Commander?
Yes,
like
I think
Commander?
so. It looks like it's straight out of Wing Commander. I don't know why I just got that vibe.
Yeah, it's got like a little scanner thing on its eye.
Yeah, complimentary.
Which is pretty fun. Yeah. Anyway, they're looking at the skeleton and they're spied on by a mysterious robed figure. Yes. We cut back to the a chemical plant on Earth, and we learn that Ivan's plan is to use the parents of Angel Grove, which I don't think I've mentioned. That's the fictional place where this takes place. Mm-hmm. That is presumably in California, but there's stuff in the show that means that's canonically not possible. It doesn't matter. and he's going to use the parents to dig up his ectomorphicons by turning all the parents into zombies using his ooze. And so he puts the plant to work making his ooze, which he does using his powers. If you haven't noticed it by now, but Ivan Ooze's powers are whatever the scene needs them to
Whatever
be.
the fuck. Again, theorizing that this is the writer's original character, Do Not Steal, who's super cool and awesome.
I think he might be onto something. So, back on the alien planet, the Rangers wander around for a while, and then they're attacked by Ivan's bird monsters.
But you forget, there's an emotional moment where Kimberly stops and goes, I feel bad about Zordon.
I do not acknowledge any point at which any of the characters display autonomy.
Well,
They are
she
one
doesn't.
character.
She's just written in there as, well, she's like the Pink Ranger, so she's delicate and feminine and has an emotion, which is sad. Oh, no, she has two emotions, which is sad and help me, I need to be saved by a man.
Yeah, there is a bit of that. It's just, but anyway,
Jeez.
What the fuck?
they get attacked by the bird monsters. It doesn't really go well because they don't have their powers, so they're kind of getting their ass kicked. And then the robed figure appears and
Another OC.
and does a big screech because they're emulating old Ben from Star Wars. They're just doing that. But reveals it's not, in fact, under that robe, Alec Guinness.
In a bikini.
It's a hot
I mean,
woman in
if
a bikini.
If only.
Can you imagine? Hello there. I would have fucking died.
This movie answers the question we've all had on our lips the whole time. What if Alec Guinness had a rockin' bod?
What do you mean, if? What if he was allowed to show it off?
That's okay. That's actually your point. What
Let
if Alec
him
Guinness?
show his tits.
What if Alec Guinness showed up in A New Hope and he was wearing string?
He was wearing fucking thigh highs. He
Yeah.
was like, Luke.
Anyway, she beats up all the birds and they fuck off. She does it like whirling a staff that makes a weird noise. Don't worry about it. It doesn't come up again. This is a movie of loose ends.
Literally is.
Yeah.
And she's all like, what ho? I'm fucking borderline naked.
No, she doesn't. She basically says, "All right, you lot, fuck off."
Oh, in my notes it was another OC who was an English racist. She literally goes, fuck off, back to your own planet. And it's like,
I do appreciate.
She's like, Brexit means Brexit. Get the fuck out of it.
She hits like two of them on separate occasions. Yeah. Because they're like, "Oh, thank you. We're trying to like get the great power," and she's just fuck off.
She's like, blue passports.
But then when they tell her that they're there to help Zordon and fight off Ivan Ooze, she mellows, and we find out her name is Dulcea. Is it Dulcea? How you pronounce it?
I don't know.
I watched the movie like an hour ago.
Wait,
and
did
I've
they
already
really call
forgot.
her like Dolce with an A?
Yeah.
Dolce is like oh my god.
Anyway, she mellows on them. It's like, "Oh, okay, if you want to help Zordon and stop Ivan Ooze, then fucking follow me." Back on Earth, we see that Ivan, who is now dressed up as a wizard and is talking to children. Just gonna put that out there, and he's giving out his slime to children,
So this is a totally true story about drama.
and the kids are all like, "Do we really want your slime?" And he's like, "Yeah, but it's free," and they
They're
all
like,
go,
oh, fuck yeah, free slime.
"Fuck yeah, free slime," which does actually check out.
Kids
Slime
love
was
slime,
a big,
yeah. Slime.
yeah, that does actually check out.
Yeah.
And the kid,
Fred.
from
Just
earlier,
remember Fred Durst.
Fred
Because he's
Durst.
got his hat back to front, and
The
that's
kid does
basically...
have it. Is that kid supposed to be like actually, I suppose
That's
like,
Fred Durst as a child. That's literally Fred Junior
okay,
Durst.
it's Fred Junior Durst. Okay.
Yeah, he also has like a an NBA like Jordan snapback, which the snapback at the back is like stylized after like the Jordan silhouette of him like with the basketball.
Yeah.
So it looks really weird, but it's on back to front. He's got like a weird X in the corner of his face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Just something I noticed.
But yeah, so he takes some of the slime as well. It's fine. We go back to the alien planet. Actually, there's a lot here. It cuts back and forth between these
There's
two
a lot
things.
of back and forth, yeah.
So back on the planet, Dulcea takes them to an old temple where they can see a huge monolith in the distance, and that's where the great power resides. And in order to best its guardians, they must call upon like the sacred animal spirits of the ninjetti.
But wait, this is something you might have to cut out me fucking around on. I took a photo when Fred goes back to his to his house, and
That's a ways away.
okay, but also I've sent a picture of it, because Dick and Balls fruit bowl. Someone put a Dick and Balls in the fruit bowl.
I don't. Little. I don't think there's really any way.
Yeah, sorry. This is the way it is.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, sorry. I was just so excited about maybe seeing a Dick and Balls.
Okay. So in order to best its guardians, they have to call up the animal spirits of the ninjetti. Whatever the fuck that means.
I have put in my notes, Witchblade gives them all personas.
Yeah, that happens in a moment. Again, this cuts back and forth. I'm trying to keep the order of this in my brain.
Okay.
So we cut back to Earth, and the dad of Fred, the dad of Fred, that's what I'm going to call him, not Fred's dad.
Dad of Fred!
He pulls up to his house, and he's playing They Might Be Giants on the radio, which is an interesting note. And he goes into the place, and he finds his son's pot of ooze, and does the unwise thing and touches his son's goo. Which apparently turns him into a zombie, along with every other parent in the neighborhood, who all start ominously walking out of their houses in a big long row.
That
Who all touched their child's goo.
They've all been touching their kids' goo, and
suburban America, y'all. What the fuck?
Back on the planet, the Rangers go through a ritual to unleash their inner animal spirit. Their personas, and it gives them all a colour-coded ninja outfit with a symbol of an animal on it. So Aisha is a bear, Rocky is an ape, Billy is a wolf, Kimberly is a crane, Adam is a frog, and Tommy is a falcon.
I feel like you brushed over the frog thing.
Yeah, okay. This is the funniest thing. So fucking Witchblade, or whatever her name is, like the Brexit woman, she goes up and goes, Kimberly, you're feminine and delicate and helpless and fucking terrible. You're a crane. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. It's like, Billy, you're a fairy. You're a wolf. Rocky, you're a fan of bananas. You are an ape. And then she goes, Adam, the Black Ranger, you are a frog. And he's like, what? And she's like, yes, but like a totally hot frog that turns into a prince and then kisses him, and he's like, nice. It's like, yeah, okay, but you didn't so is his magic power just seducing people? Is it your magic
Adam's magic power is that he gets it.
He could get it, to be fair. But yeah, I love it how, and it's like, Tommy, you're like the falcon and you can fly and it's really cool and stuff. But yes, Adam you're a frog, but like, you could get it. That's literally the description of his powers. And it's like, okay.
Could they not think of another animal? Like,
couldn't.
There's
Well, no, that was the
reason why it had
original
to be a
thing.
frog.
Okay.
That was the
Hey,
original ninja. Like,
yeah, I need to explain this to everyone.
Okay.
So the ninja powers from this movie are actually from an old, like, Super Sentai series that was turned into the third series of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So all of the Zords and the powers and the animals behind them were locked in like
had to be
15 years before this was ever made.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the fact that you couldn't have gone, oh, Adam, your reflexes and resourcefulness, or like the frog, not just I want to fuck a frog, or like she's just like, have you ever been with a Brexiteer?
Anyway, once they when they get given their powers, they all get a ninja outfit that is in the brightest possible version of that color.
They're so awful, and they're all like, "I'm a ninja now," and it's like, oh, this is a lot.
They funnily enough look like one of those ninjas from like the the Godfrey Ho movies that were made, where they'd take like a Hong Kong like movie and then like splice in Western shots from it. Mm-hmm. Sort of what they did with Power Rangers, but they'd make shitloads of those movies like that, and there'd be like a guy from like Wisconsin with a mustache, but he's got like a bright red ninja outfit with the word ninja written on his forehead.
Just in case you were unsure.
Yeah.
One of the Power Rangers is a frog.
Yeah.
Because he could get it.
They're all in these like horrendously vibrant ninja outfits.
They're so ugly.
Yeah, amazingly.
They're so ugly.
They are so bright. It is untrue.
It's really highlighted when they're walking in the woods later, and they're just like, it looks like someone set fire to something. It's so like, whoa.
So vibrant.
So vibrant.
Anyway, Dulcea tells them that now they've got to do this stuff by themselves, and then turns into an owl and then fucks off. And at that point, I realised so many of my notes are just person does thing and then fucks off.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot in this
That
movie.
happens a lot, yeah.
Anyway, back on Earth, the parents are all at the construction site where they dug up Ivan because that's where his big robots were buried as well, and they're helping to dig them up. The birds that Ivan sent return, and they say, we didn't kill the Rangers, and they had help. And so Ivan's like, well, shit. And then explodes them, and he's like, okay, I guess we've got limited time.
Yeah.
Because he also knows about the Great Power, because everyone knows about the Great Power.
Yeah, how did you not know about the Great Power? How embarrassing.
Back on Phaedos, the Rangers start making their way to the monolith, and on Earth, the kid finds his zombified dad in the construction site.
Who's not using a pickaxe even remotely correctly. I mean, to be fair, none of them are, which I guess makes sense.
They are being mind controlled. They're acting robotically.
I'm surprised one of them isn't like thinking it's a guitar or some shit.
The Rangers walk past a bunch of very fake-looking giant skeletons that I do regardless love, because they are a physical prop in this movie, and every physical prop in this movie is great.
Yeah, and Adam's just like, welcome to Jurassic Park. And I'm like, how much did that fucking cost you? You couldn't have spent that on CGI? You couldn't have spent that on a fucking suitmation? Fuck you. Fuck you.
One of those skeletons then comes to life as a big puppet who I love the most.
He's a goofy baby.
Who's a big, like, pseudo-dinosaur thing, and then the Rangers then fumble their way into killing it. It's really not a good showing for them having new powers, because they barely kill this thing. Unlike they kind of do it mostly by luck.
Yeah, he pulls out, like, the keystone vertebrae that we all have as mammals.
Yes, and it makes the whole thing
And it just
fall
makes
apart.
it disintegrate. And then they're like, I bet you're glad you paid attention in biology class. And it's like, it's a fucking alien dinosaur skeleton. I would fight every Power Ranger in this apart from Adam, who could get it. I'm sorry.
I don't know how old these actors were at this point. They're supposed to be teenagers, but they're definitely not at this point.
I mean the actor, obviously. Oh my god.
Anyway, so on Earth, the robots have been dug up and assembled, and so Ivan, who's being spied on by Fred at this point, orders the parents, because he's bored of looking at them and he's done with them, to just go to the construction site and leap to their death. And then
it's leap to their doom. You can tell because every time you subsequently get like shots of the parents, like it just goes leap to our doom, and they just keep saying that just in case the kids have forgotten what the threat is. And I honestly, the time frame in this movie is fantastic, because I'm like, okay, so it takes, where are they? They're in this factory, and it takes them like an entire day to get to the construction site again.
Yeah. Well, the entire movie takes place over 2 days, so
that's crazy.
Because we're given an explicit time frame earlier on in the movie.
Oh, because of the comet. That was an important thing we should have remembered.
Yeah. It tells you the exact length of the movie.
Because that's the problem.
Anyway, so the parents all leave the factory and to go and leap to their death. Leap to their doom.
Thank you.
And the robots are then filled up with ooze and brought to life. And we find out that the robots are unfortunately appalling CGI.
Chrome CGI. That can feel fear, we learn.
Yeah, they look so terrible.
It looks like...
one's like
so
a big
bad.
scorpion and one's like a beetle thing. But these are the giant monsters that we now know that the Power Rangers are going to have to come back and fight with their giant robots, because that is how Power Rangers works. The Rangers on the planet have finally got to that monolith, and then some monsters that are carved out of stone come to life and attack them. And I will say, I do remember getting oddly obsessed with those monsters as a kid, and I used to draw them all the time.
To be fair, they're cool.
They
remind me of one of the... was it Bebop or Rocksteady? I think it was Rocksteady.
Yeah, they also remind me a bit of Gamorrean guards, like just the way the suits
Yeah, they're
look.
like if Rocksteady and Gamorrean guards like had a baby.
Gamorrean guards are the pig guards for
The green
in Return
pig
of the
guards,
Jedi, if you're wondering.
They're very cool. Also,
I know most people know that, but I just thought I'd...
Yeah. Also, I really like how they're like, quick, let's do the ninjetti, and then all of their masks and hoods come back up so that the stunt actors can take their places.
They do kind of do a thing where it's almost like they want to go through like they want to do the
morphing type, but they're like, fuck.
But since they're already wearing their ninja outfits, all it means is that they're putting their hood up and pulling a mask up, and that's
I'd love to see him just doing that and then stopping and then being like, pulling his mask up and popping his hood.
It's like saying, "Oh, you're doing a massive like Sailor Moon transformation, but you just put a hoodie on."
Yeah. Like, you know.
Anyway, they fight the monsters. There's a whole fight scene.
The women get in trouble and get saved by the dudes because... But one of the dudes gets saved by the other dudes because this film is about equality.
It ends with a particularly surreal, gravity-defying corkscrew kick.
Okay, so this kick pissed me the fuck off.
Okay,
because like half of them are actual martial artists. Like,
they all are. All the actors are actually like martial artists.
Oh, they really don't let them shine.
No.
The guy playing Tommy.
The Red Ranger, like these days, like that's
he
what
has his own gym. Yeah.
He has his own gym and stuff. That's his primary thing. Like,
well, I mean, the guy who played Tommy went on to be like a gigantic fridge of a man MMA fighter. And like, I'm looking at that going, okay, so he's like, oh, ninja spinning corkscrew kick. I'm like, what? What does spinning add to the force of this blow?
Especially because
you are wasting energy.
Because he does the leap, and then halfway through, he's
like, oh fuck, I forgot I've got to spin. So he's spinning, and it's like, And the thing is, okay, listener, he's not spinning like a spinning bird kick. He's spinning like, you know, when you get like a pencil and you kind of like you're trying to start a fire and rub it back and forth in your hands, and the point is there. That he's just spinning like side to side. Like he's rolling around on the floor like a worm. But he's floating because he's kicked. And it's like, what does the sideways spinning of your body add to the force of this blow?
Well, it makes the rock monster explode, so...
No!
Oh, yeah, who's wrong here?
Yeah, so
okay, I didn't realise I was dealing with a couple of fucking geologists. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you got to put a spin on it to crack rock, apparently.
It's just... Like, can you imagine, like, these 5 people are, like, martial arts experts, and it's like, okay, so we're gonna, like, spin you like a fucking, like, fruit roll-up, and then you'll deliver a kick, and them just kind of going, okay. It's so weird.
It's very strange.
It weirded me out.
In defeating these rock monsters, they have passed the final challenge, and a big door opens, a pyramid, which has got, like, the sacred animals on it, comes
that was a
out,
coincidence.
And then they're all bathed in light, and some tiny CGI robot animals fly around them, and they're like, oh, these must be our new Zords.
I will say what I wrote in my notes, because I wrote, ghost animals give the teenagers swords. Because I heard, instead of Zords, I heard swords. So I was like, so some ghost creatures from another planet have just armed these children. Great.
I mean, ghost creatures from another planet armed children is the plot of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
It is, but when you say it like that, it's a little strange.
So they get their suits back, which does lead to the slightly surreal thing of that they get their old suits back. So like
they just suddenly turn into the Power Rangers as we know them, but their booby coins are of their spirit animals.
Here's the interesting thing. So on the Power Rangers toys, they had like a chest thing that had the animal that they were based around on them. So like the Red Ranger had a Tyrannosaurus Rex,
which was on his henshin brooch.
Yeah. But in the show that wasn't on the chest, if I remember correctly. I don't think it was.
I don't think so.
But it was on the on the suits. But when they get their new powers, they like the Red Ranger still has a Tyrannosaurus Rex based helmet, but on his chest he has the ape coin, which I just thought was a nice touch.
Oh my god, he's a crypto bro.
Oh fuck.
He's like, guys, I got a great investment for you.
Yeah, so they get some NFTs from the pyramid.
Yeah, they have to go to a foreign planet to get their own NFTs.
Yeah. Which basically gives them their Power Rangers.
Which the pre-sale is going through the room.
It gives them their Ranger powers back, and they've got some new Zords to play with, and so they can teleport again, so they teleport back to Earth. In
the exact order they need to.
They're always
to
in
get
the exact
screen
order.
smeared.
It's
perfect.
Fine. It's fine. We then see on Earth where the Ectomorphicons are doing a really shit impression of a kaiju movie.
It's not good.
Vaguely menacing the populace of Angel Grove, like...
But not actually going near them because that would involve the CGI interacting with a real thing.
Which is just a nightmare at that point.
Like, I don't want to just shit on CGI because it's obviously like...
No, it looks a lot better than I was expecting it to.
Like, it requires a lot of talent to make it, but the problem is that when you come from the TV show that was using tried and tested, like, physical props that look pretty good, honestly. Even today, I think it actually holds up quite well. The CGI was such a step down, like, the tech just wasn't there yet.
No.
A few years later, and they could start pulling things off like this, I think they just bit off way more than they could chew. And so it's just meant that it just looks really bad, and it becomes really hard to care about any of it because it's so weightless. It's just, they either needed to wait a few years for the technology to mature, or they needed
I just
to...
wanted them to try some suit, mate. Some suit kind of like stuff. That's all I wanted.
But anyway, so they're doing that. And then Ivan's watching this scene play out, and then he once again can smell the Rangers coming because he smells that fucking Lynx Africa on the way.
He's like, "Oh God, is that bang on the door perfume? Fuck off."
We do really need to talk about how Ivan can smell teenagers and why he knows what that smells like,
and why he and Goldar were both oogling Kimberly. Okay, put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. Mm-hmm. So the Rangers, who initially they land on Earth and they're like, okay, we should get back to base. I don't know why they didn't instantly teleport back to base, but whatever.
Because
don't worry about it.
The runtime needed to be a certain amount for the investors.
But they see the giant robots and they're like, oh shit, okay, I guess we should deal with this first. So they call out their new Zords whilst gesticulating wildly, like Ninja Falcon Zord, you know. And so they call out their names and then the Zords appear and
look terrible.
They look so bad.
They look so bad.
I don't want to keep harping on it, but they do. The whole back end of this movie looks so shit because the CGI is so bad.
And the thing is, the amount they would have spent on that CGI, they could have had some incredible suits made.
Yeah.
Or incredible models made.
The worst part is these designs were used in the Japanese series. And so we have now, because once this movie had come out, the third season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came out, and they got these Zords in the series, and they were suitmation, and they looked so much better. Like, it is not even comparable, like, how much better that it looked. It's wild. Anyway, I'll try not to be too grumpy about it. I just like suitmation. I like kaiju movies, so this stuff pisses me off. Anyway, so they summon the Zords. They all come flying in and they all jump into them in some very strange scenes where you see like the White Ranger like flipping into it, and it looks like
it crane gained him away. Like just snatched him out of the air and just went, just ate him.
It's weird.
Yeah,
It's so
definitely
weird.
has some sort of at least minor whiplash.
Yeah, that man has like whiplash down every fucking
Yeah.
vertebrae of his back.
And we see that with all the parents gone, we find out what's happened to all those kids. They're basically going on like a preteen oozed themed bender at like a local milkshake shop or something.
That's such a creepy thing because they obviously can't have the kids drinking or doing anything the kids would actually be doing. Speaking of somebody who grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
Like, there's one kid who's just standing there trying to look really out of it with a bunch of ooze in a blender. And it's like, that is so unwholesome.
So are they all just eating the ooze? Like, it's not clear?
And they're all dressed in purple. It's like, yeah. It's like, to be fair, that is
Were
pretty
they all dressed in
teenage...
purple, or were they all covered in ooze?
No, they're all dressed in purple.
I think there was a bit of both, I'll be honest. I think both are true.
Which, to be fair, like, teenage boys wearing, like, alcohol shirts or whatever. Christ, that was a genre of boy for a while, wasn't it?
Also, teenagers covered in ooze is just a unifying thing throughout history.
And then you have the two 30-year-olds, Bulk and Skull, drinking with the children.
Do you want to know my favourite fact I found out whilst doing the token research I did for this? The most well-trained actor in this entire in the entire main cast of it's Skull. Yeah.
I knew it.
He's done Shakespearean acting.
Oh my god.
Apparently, he and the actor who played Bulk are both actually like still friends in real life.
To be fair, their chemistry was always so good, and they were always fun to watch.
I wish they were in the movie more because they are quite fun.
They should have been in them. I want them to be Power Rangers.
Bulk's actor in a web series because Bulk and Skull are like the longest running like consecutive characters in the Power Rangers franchise because they have been in it like on and off since the beginning up until quite recently, as far as I understand. But there is actually a web series where the actor who played Bulk is playing a different character, but he is the Yellow Ranger in that. So he finally got to be a Ranger, which is quite fun.
So cool. Did Skull ever propose?
I don't believe so.
Oh, that's so... I'm not like, gay. I'm like, no, honestly, I ship it. They are the most wholesome punker couple. I love it.
Anyway, yeah, so these somewhat unsettlingly old Bulk and Skull are there with all of these, like, pre-teens having this party.
Yeah, but they're, like, chugging Sprite. They're like, yeah, 7-Up.
It's
Ooh,
weird.
Tasty.
And Fred shows up and is like, hey, all of our parents are going to fucking die. You should help me stop that from happening.
And I'm at the back going, fuck yeah.
So they all go and get on a monorail and...
Well, you say that. They all show no interest in listening to him, and then it cuts away to a different scene, and then it cuts back and they're all running. I'm like, what did Fred do in the meantime to persuade them? Because they were not caring about what he had to say at all.
In lieu of any evidence to the contrary, he pulled a knife on them.
I assume so. 'Cause I genuinely had to skip back and be like, wait, I must have missed something. Like,
You did
he was
not.
getting nowhere with persuading all these kids to follow him.
Also,
and then they all just followed him.
Can I just say, I love, like, my headcanon, I love this, where it's like, Fred gets there, he's like, we need to save our parents because they're all going to die, and all the kids tell him to fuck off, and he, like, then the scene cuts, he pulls a knife on them and says, I will stab a man, and they go, oh fuck, okay, and then he's like, to the monorail! which I'm so angry wasn't in the final cut. To the monorail, my brethren! And then
Maybe
everyone
that's what
charges
persuaded them.
onto
He was
the
like, they was like, no, fuck that. He's like, yeah, but you get to go in the monorail.
And they were like,
And I bought your
fucking
tickets.
monorail!
It's like,
Kids
look, I'll
love
tell you
monorails.
what, I know how... that was it. He was like, look, I know how to get on the monorail. If you help save all of our parents, you'll all get to ride on the monorail. And I won't lie, I will inconvenience myself quite a bit to ride on monorail. Monorail's cool.
Will you stop having a keg party with children to ride a monorail?
I'll
Because
do-
I don't know if I could do that.
I will do pretty much anything to avoid having a keg party with children, I won't lie.
That's fair.
And also, like, I think we're at the point in the movie where you just don't sweat the small stuff. Stuff is going to happen, and you've just got to roll with it.
Shit's
It's
going.
just got to
Plans
water off a duck's back.
Fully in motion.
You just got to roll with it. Where the fuck am I in my notes? Where are we? Okay, so yeah. So the Zords in their individual forms start fighting the ectomorphicons.
And they suck.
And they're all kind of bad at it.
And Tommy's like, I'm going to go save some
Amazing.
children. Like a loser.
He does that later.
No, but that's why he hasn't formed with them, because he's heard that there's a monorail, and he's like, fuck, I love monorails. I want to go see if I can get on that monorail. Fuck this fight. So he doesn't form up with them straight away.
That's in a moment. So yeah, they have the Zord fight, and you know, the Zords kind of flail with each other kind of ineffectively. Although I did notice a lot of the background shots are actually model
They are,
work.
yeah. Especially around, like, you know, the scene in a minute. It's like around the monorail. Oh, I love monorail. Where it's like, I'm like, oh my god, that's an actual, like, miniature, physical, like, set. Oh wow.
I think there's only one shot where the Zords themselves are models.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like a terrible CGI thing, and I'm just looking at the background and going like, I'm pining for what could have been.
Yeah. I have written down that because Billy's Wolf Zord, he literally is like, oh no, I need to he's like, I'm loading my hydraulics. And it's like, is it a computer program? What are you doing?
Could he mean like bringing it up to pressure or something?
I don't know, but also this is the part where Kimberly's like, "Oh, I'm such a stupid lady," and she's like caught by like one of them.
Yeah, Ivan uses his electricity powers that he also has to hold her
Gary
Zord
Stu
together,
powers.
and he's like in a mocking way, like, "Oh, here comes the cute little pink ranger," and Goldar's like, "Oh, you think she's cute too?" And my note on that is, so Goldar is a nonce. Add that to the wiki.
Yeah, Goldar's canonically over like a few thousand years old.
Yeah, that is a problematic age gap.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not good. But yeah, and they're like, I hate Kimberly in this scene because she's like, "Oh no, he's got me. Oh,
Aisha
I'm so pathetic. And Aisha goes, "Hey, you have thrusters?" And she's like, "Thank you, someone with a fucking functional frontal lobe." And then activates them, and it's like immediately free.
Like,
It's
I could just fly away. That's
like literally me getting into a fucking car and just smashing on my brakes and then going, "I'm gonna crash," and just having my arms folded. And then have someone having to tell me that I need to steer.
Yeah.
That's so brain dead. It's like, Kimberly, for fuck's sake. How do you not accidentally suffocate,
Look,
girl?
as I have established, the Power Rangers are a Gestalt entity, and the limb that is known as Kimberly is not blessed with agency.
Kimberly.
They do not have agency. Kimberly.
She's like the appendix of the group. I'm sorry. She's so fucking...
Yeah.
Literally what she does is like, in this is like, "Oh no, I'm sad. And now a bird has taken me." A bird steals her.
I mean, it doesn't help that she has the like absolute worst actor of any of them.
Yeah. She's actually has had one of the more prolific careers afterwards. She's done some directing of some movies.
Well, good. I mean, I'm not gonna because like a lot of like acting is like how you're being directed. So.
Yeah.
But also the acting in this was so
It's
abhorrent.
horrendous.
Like, "Oh no, I'm being stolen by a bird."
I mean, so much of it is ADR'd as well. Like
That's the thing. It really was quite jarring.
To emulate the style of the show, as not as well as just the normal reasons you have to ADR stuff. Like, yeah, it's like it is not a movie you watch for the acting, apart from, of course, Ivan Ooze, who is amazing the whole time.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah.
Anyway, so after kind of battling with the things for a while and kind of getting their ass kicked, the Scorpion like bad robot gets held in place by the frog robots.
Because it's so fuckable.
The fuckable frog
the
robot's
Scorpion
tongue.
robot was like, "Oh no, a frog. I'm suddenly feeling so submissive and breedable."
The wolf robot grabs hold of the tail, and after 5 to 10 minutes, it's unclear. Eventually, it biting on the tail eventually makes the tail rip off, and ooze shoots out, which looks like the CGI Klingon blood from Star Trek 6. That's a very specific reference, but if you know exactly what it looks like. And then they kind of let it go whilst it's flailing around, and the Falcon Zord like fires ridiculous missiles out of the end of its wings and just obliterates the whole thing. Ivan, now annoyed that, well, apparently these robots were going to take over the entire universe, but like one of them was destroyed relatively easily by some people that don't even know how to use their new Zords yet, evidently.
If Kimberly's anything to fucking go by, she's like, "Oh!" And she's like, how do I make it go? And then she's like, turns on the drink machine.
Yeah.
Because literally, like, when she enters the cockpit, like, all of them have a thing of like, "Wow, cool controls. Oh, cool, a stabilizer." She goes, "Cool stereo." And it's like, Kimberly, for fuck's sake.
Would it make
For fuck's sake, Kimberly.
I believe it's...
Kimberly.
Would it make you feel better that I believe there's a recent comic of... Because Power Rangers is continued in lots of places, but in comics.
Comic form.
And I think it's an alternate universe take where Kimberly becomes like a ranger killer. Like,
Oh yeah, she turns into like the Doomslayer / RC from the comics and just goes on a rampage, and I'm like,
yeah, and they give her
but
like...
she's like, "What does this gun do?"
And they give her like a new suit that's like a version of it that's still got the hot pink, but it's like but the primary color becomes black. And
Okay, that's
she's got like a
awesome.
cloak, and she looks so badass. So the character at least
Does she
gets
still have a
little...
bow and arrow?
Yes, awesome. She hunts for other rangers with a bow and arrow.
That's actually so
If that's
cool.
not what happens in the comic, don't
People are
worry about
cowards.
correcting me. I haven't read it. I'm picking up purely from like vibes from what I've seen and other people saying.
But yeah, I also have to ask, because at this point, Ivan Ooze gets big and is angry, and he like pulls the platform he was standing on with Goldar into like a bludgeoning weapon.
Yeah, because what he does is because he's got mad, he like turns into goo, because he is goo, and then goes into the remaining robot that
So he
he's
uses
got.
it kind of like a suit of armor.
Yeah,
But,
he like merges with it, so he becomes the kaiju.
But what did I hear him say? Because he snaps the thing off, and I swear to God, this is what I heard. "Time for a little shore play." Is that what he says?
I don't
There was
remember.
no subtitles, and I was listening to it without my hearing aids in, with my headphones on, because I can't. It's either one or the other, and it would have been better to listen with the hearing aids without hearing aids.
I do not know what he was saying.
It sounded
I do not
weird.
remember.
It sounded weird. Didn't like it. I was like, you've already just gone. This 16-year-old can get it, and that's not okay. That's weird, especially when she's like, she doesn't even know where she is. I think she hit her head upon entry, and now she's like completely dazed, and it's just a bit predatory, mate. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit weird.
It's okay. She's much like the crane. She's got hollow bones and.
I've got a hollow brain as
okay.
well. Her brain is a hollow bone.
Anyway, seeing like so Ivan merges with the remaining robot and it like gains his face, but because it's like because the CGI is very early CGI, it can't emote, so it's just got this really blank expression.
And like he's shouting and stuff, and it's just like fully not moving, like an old PS1 game.
Yeah, it's very strange. So then we get the scene where all of the Zords minus the White Ranger's Falcon merge into the Ninja Megazord.
I have my note here that says, hate the Ninja Megazord. Looks like shit.
It's
fucking
really
awful.
So they join together, they have the whole combination scene.
Wank.
And it looks like shit.
Wank.
It looks really
Wank.
bad. And the final Zord looks really like oddly proportioned and just weird, and you can see through the transformation, like you can see the parts clipping through each other really visibly, like,
which again, for the time, that was not uncommon, and I fully understand it.
Again, this is just, they tried to do too much while the tech wasn't there, and so unfortunately it means we are just left with a very bad looking like movie. This is actually one of the few times we actually hear the Power Rangers theme as well, in the background whilst it's doing the transformation. Well, obviously, we hear it referenced.
Boy fight! Fighting! Girl fight! Also fighting! I wanted that to
fight.
kick. Robots fighting!
He has a monkey for an arm.
Where's the bird?
Robot fight! His entire legs are a frog.
Where's the Falcon?
So we find out the reason why the Falcon didn't join is because then that's the part where the Falcon then goes and, because earlier on the big Ivanhoe's robot thing knocks over a bit of the monorail, and so the Falcon sits neatly.
Not the monorail.
It sits neatly in the gap where the monorail's track had gone, and the monorail goes over it.
Which is great foresight in whoever designed it. To be like, I need to design this to the exact same spec as a monorail track.
Just in case, because monorails are fucking dope.
It does feel like they did not understand what
tracks are?
what a monorail was.
There's a rail
It's not
there.
just driving on top and balancing. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Now, those do exist. There is a type of weird, like, automated bus thing that does just sit on a raised platform and it just drives on it.
But that's
I can't
not
remember
what a
they're called,
monorail is.
but
It's not a fucking monorail.
But it's not a monorail because it's not, on a single rail.
No, but like, I just love how, like, Tommy literally is like, the monorail drives over his fucking Zord, and he's like, good luck, kids! Which is basically like, fuck you, you pricks are on your own.
Good luck stopping this thing.
Yeah.
Do you fuckers know how to stop this when you get to the station?
These children have been drinking fucking sensory slime all day. They are more Elmer's glue than child. Do you think any of there are 2 adults there who have been chugging Sprite since 4 a.m. Do you think anyone knows
There is
how
not
to
a
stop this fucking vehicle?
There is no one with responsibility in sight. The closest person was Tommy, and he's just like, yeah, good luck, fuckers.
He's like, haha, Darwin Award. No, he's
This is
like,
why
only the strong survive, and just fucking drives off.
As the evolved form of my theory, this is why I believe that Tommy might be the only one of the Gestalt Ranger entity who does actually have some degree of autonomy. He may
Autonomy.
Autonomy.
And Kalimba.
He may be the like central like pillar that they all connect to.
You show that like they suck and are terrible at everything when he's separate. And then he comes back and like is like the connecting tissue between the 2 brain cells.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's what's happening.
Right?
I think we've cracked it
We've cracked the code
of how the entity that is known as the Power Rangers,
the Powered
operates.
Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the kid's saved. The Megazord gets
they're probably saved.
Probably saved. The Megazord gets thrown around a bit by Mega Ivan. The one shot you see
Ivan.
of the Megazord getting thrown through a building is like the only shot I noticed where it's actually a model. Because they had to obviously throw it through something, and you know the building they were destroying was a model, so they had to have that be a model, otherwise it'd look weird. So when it's on the ground, the Falcon Zord finally reaches it, connects to the back of it, and then makes the Ninja Falcon Megazord, which they make sure you know the name of so that you know what toy to ask for.
Yeah. Also, this
Which
is
I had, and it was fucking rad.
better than the fucking one in this movie. I literally made a note of this because it made me cackle. Because they're like, we need to fight Ivan Ooze. And then Billy goes, I'll set a course for outer space. Which is met with, good idea. It's like, is it? Fucking is it a good idea? Why the fuck? Yeah, go to outer space.
Yeah.
Fucking beat 7-Eleven, I guess.
Based on the assumption that Ivan can fly in this form, which
I'd love it
fortunately
if they
he
fucked
can.
off into space and he was just like,
Well, I can't fly.
okay, and he's turned around and started kicking fucking holes in buildings again.
Fortunately for them, and for the runtime of the movie, Ivan sprouts some wings, because I guess he did. The robot he took over was the beetle one, so it makes sense that it had wings.
Not all beetles can fly. Or can they?
I don't know. I know everyone I know of can fly.
That feels like a gross generalization.
No, there's loads of dung beetles can't fly.
Yeah,
Can't they?
I don't know why that's the
beetles
first
can
one I
fly.
thought of. Oh, can they?
I thought they could.
Rhinoceros beetles probably can't fly.
They can fly.
All
Can they? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
beetles fly? Some beetles can fly, while others cannot.
Okay, well that answers that.
Cool.
Although
The
it is
beetles that can fly have one pair of wings. They're called alae. They are softer wings that are covered by a hardened outer pair of wings known as the elytra.
Yeah, that's what their shell is actually. Their wings. That's what it's made of. So.
Wow. But it still would be funny if he had wings and couldn't fucking fly.
Yeah.
He'd just jump and go, oh, fuck it. I'm going to stamp on a preschool.
Yeah. Anyway, so he flies off into space to follow the Rangers.
Which is a great idea.
And we go back to the construction site where the kids are all kind of like try and stop the parents. Like they all get in front of the parents to try and stop them throwing themselves into a big hole that this... I presume it's the big hole they dug to dig out the robots.
I think that's implied, yeah.
And the whole thing is lit like a bread tube video for some reason. I mean...
I'm feeling pretty informed right now.
I mean, it's cool, but you know, it's just... and then Fred, with the help of Bulk and Skull, starts spraying the parents with water from a big hose thing.
No,
For
they
some
don't
reason,
spray the parents. They spray the children to force the parents back extra.
Oh, that's what it was.
They're giving the children extra force.
Oh.
So it's like, that would really hurt a child. It hurts adults, let alone children. Why are you being a riot cop? That's bad.
So they saved the kids, they saved the parents, but probably
Broke
like
a bunch of
murdered
kids'
a bunch
ribs.
of kids.
Yeah, a bunch of kids are just going to have like back problems for the rest of their fucking life.
Fuck them.
Yeah, Fred Durst Jr.
Yeah.
Fucking cop behavior. Disgusting.
Yeah.
We're cancelling him.
Anyway, this is where the comet from before that was mentioned like an hour and 20 minutes ago actually comes up
again. Which was
again.
the thing that, we remember.
I think Billy mentions it of like, we should lure him out in front of the comet. So they end up in space tussling with Ivan.
Which looks so bad, by the way.
And this is when we discover that this Megazord has an emergency button for a very specific action.
Very specific. Yes. Very. Because I wrote this down. Ivan Ooze, because they're like, quick, hit the emergency button. So Aisha does. And then the...
Well, no,
Falcon
this is Aisha's plan. No one else knows what to do. And she's like, I've got to break out the big guns or something. And then smashes like an emergency panel with a big red button behind it.
Button. And then the Falcon Ninja Zord knees the Ivan Ooze robot in its balls. Because he was like, I'm going to be filling like a body of like a robot. So I'm going to give myself testicles. In which... What my exact notes were, Ivan Ooze's giant mech has balls in which to knee.
Yeah.
Well,
which is weird, and like also the emergency button was to activate the ball kicking protocol.
Yeah,
and that's what wins the day. A cheeky fucking jab to the shaft is what saves the universe, because then they ball kick him into the meteor, and he just fucking dies.
Yeah, he just fucking explodes.
He just dies,
and that is how the day is solved with a quick like blow to the testicles. That is
wow.
just how we deal with it.
Wow.
That is how we save the day. Yeah, okay. So Ivan's exploded, and
Ivan has oozed his last. The ooze.
Yeah, and back on Earth, the parents are no longer under Ivan's control, and this is the point at which I am forced to actually realise when watching the movie that the kid's name is Fred.
I learned that pretty much literally the first time, because Tommy's like, hey there, child, who I have a connection to emotionally, literally for one plot element, probably.
When I first watched it, I was not going to rewind to see if it said his name, because I was not paying attention.
I just noticed it!
I was not going to pay attention to this kid. He
You're
seemed annoying.
Oh, a child, dead to me.
I couldn't remember, I did not remember his presence from me watching the movie as a kid.
Fair.
He was a surprise to me. And I was like, oh fuck, I've got to deal with this now. Anyway, so yeah, he hugs his dad because his dad's no longer on the thing, and
he hugs his dad, the clone of the most American man ever.
And the Rangers head back to base, having saved the day, but Zordon is already dead. But using the power of friendship or ninjas or reversing the footage, they fix the base, revive Zordon, who stops being the
last one.
No, can I just say, I actually made Wib rewatch this very small segment with me. There's like a panning shot when they get back and they're all standing around his crystal like deathbed, and Alpha's like, oh fuck you dipshits. I'm paraphrasing.
You were late, dickheads.
You're late, dickheads. He's a big dead bitch now. And they all like, and it kind of pans from left to right. Like, you know, you look at Rocky and he's like, I'm acting. And like Tommy, like to his credit, he does have like credits in his eyes. He's like just.
He was. I imagine they were thinking of the paycheck.
He's just like, I'm gonna pay off my car, man. And then it gets to fucking Adam at the very end, who literally is just like, he's like zoned out. He's not paying attention. And then you see him like look up at like everyone to his right, and then realize everyone's looking sad, and then goes, and just lowers his head. It's like.
So, he didn't know the vibe, like how people were feeling about this. So he's like, I mean, this old guy was kind of creepy. Like, are we sad about this? Oh, we're sad about this. Okay.
But yeah, I have a timestamp for that, which is 1:24:42. Adam notices everyone is sad, then realizes he also needs to look sad, which is exactly. You can see him thinking like, "What do we? Oh fuck." Camera's rolling, head down.
Shit, man, fuck.
Oh, man. Hard on. Oh, you'll be missed, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, they use their friendship / ninja / reversing footage powers to bring Zordon back to life. He stops being a smooth man in a crystal jar and goes to being a head in a tube again.
They do say that he's basically in like a suspended animation tube.
Yeah, he's like in a time vortex thing or some shit.
So they re-handsome their non-handsome Squidward.
I can taste metal.
Yeah, that's how it starts. And he's all like, Rangers, I'm in a fucking tube. I guess that's cool. Love that. Yay. And he's being back to unhandsome Squidward in a tube shouting orders at them.
Yeah. But anyway, so the day is saved. There's a party.
Not a kegger, unfortunately. They're all having the most like middle-class seafood seaside dinner.
They really are.
It's like, okay, so I grew up in Brisbane City, and like you go on like the Esplanade and shit like that, and there'd be fish and chip shops for the person with money. And like every prick in there would be dressed in white like they are here. And they're like, oh look, there's fireworks out of South Bank. How charming. And like I'm just like, I hate these fucking people. I used to walk past these fucking people and I hated them then. Oh, it made me mad.
But anyway, there's a party, there's fireworks, Lord Zed and Rita get back, apparently now out of the snow globe, and like...
Oh, that's
a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? The movie is over. No one needs to suffer anymore.
We're free. And also the kid's like, I think I could be a Power Ranger, and they're like, get lost, nerd.
You absolutely won't. It's a different, weird, annoying little kid who becomes a Power Ranger in Power Rangers Turbo.
Dumbass. And then they eat him.
They do not eat him.
they murder him.
I was reading about this, and I thought Fred does become a Power Ranger at some point. And
Does he?
He's played by whatever the guy who's in Waiting. What's the actor? Who's in Waiting?
So it's a different. Oh, so that was supposed to be the same kid.
Yeah, apparently.
It's a different actor. So
they're dead to us. So instead, Fred Durst just grew up and decided to become Fred Durst, which is honestly not the better choice.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what.
It was one hell of a movie.
Yeah. Shall I tell you some interesting facts about it before we do our own summary, or do you want to hear those afterwards? Because obviously this is the first episode of the new format.
I'd like to hear the little fun facts first to see if that colours our kind of like old.
Okay.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah. Let's hear some facts.
Okay. So the movie didn't do well critically.
Really?
Understandably, but it did make $66 million at the box office on a budget of $15 million. So it was.
That's a roaring success.
It was unambiguously a success.
Yeah. They made their money back a good few times.
Now, obviously, the reviews weren't great. The one that I saw was Roger Ebert's review of it, there was a single quote from it on the Wikipedia page, which was that the movie was as close as you can get to absolutely nothing and still have a product to project onto the screen.
Okay, so I think Ebert's a bit of a crotchety old man.
But he's probably right.
Hang on, what was his name?
Roger Ebert.
You're not familiar with Roger Ebert?
No, I
Really?
No.
He's a very famous critic.
Yeah, Siskel and Ebert are the most
nothing.
famous movie critics ever.
Like, there's so many parodies of
Why did who managed to get him to watch this thing then?
That's
he's
his
a film
job.
critic,
He's a film critic.
Yeah, I know, but there's lots of other films around to watch.
Despite having the same cast, this, as we mentioned earlier, this doesn't match up with TV show continuity. After when the third series came out, it had its own way that they got the Ninja Zords, and again, they were physical props and look way better for it. This wasn't the last Power Rangers movie either. There was one that followed after this a little while, which was pretty much just a movie-length episode of the show called Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, which led into the Power Rangers Turbo series. I have seen that when I was a kid, and it was one of the last things I watched related to Power Rangers because it was shit.
Oh, that good, huh? Mm.
I didn't like Power Rangers Turbo. I was also getting too old for it at that point. So.
Yeah.
But there was the 2017 Power Rangers movie, which also has really dodgy CGI in it.
Is that the one they yassified Rita Repulsa in?
Yes.
Okay.
But,
I think you mean Yaz.
But it is actually genuinely a pretty fun movie.
Okay.
I actually really like it. It has a few like jokes in it that really do land well, and I think the 2017 movie's actually pretty good. The Zords do also look fucking terrible, but in a very modern way. It's not because
we're just starting to figure out CGI as like a tool, a filmmaking tool.
Yeah, it's not because of the technology not being available. It's because of design choices they made that were bad. I feel just unambiguously bad.
Okay.
There was also another movie that came out, I think this year, called Power Rangers Once and Always, but I haven't seen that, and that was to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the franchise, which does answer our question of Power Rangers coming out in 1993.
Yes.
And of course, Power Rangers has continued on TV this entire fucking time in many different guises, some of which are done the old-fashioned way, where it's half of a Japanese series cobbled together with a Western series, and sometimes it's just been entirely made in the West.
I will say, as much as I love Bulk and Skull, I'm glad that the actors seemingly don't do that anymore, because having 45-year-old men bullying school children feels a bit weird.
They do not fulfill the same role. They played the same characters, but they didn't fulfill the same role.
I think they should be like guidance counselors.
I think that's kind of a similar role they might have fit into.
And they're kind of like rough, but they've been about, but they're because I always liked them because they were just goobers.
But how we feel about Power Rangers in general is not the point. What are our thoughts about this movie?
The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Well, movie, 1995.
Yes.
Now, we are going to be rating it out of 10, and then figuring out the average score.
Yes. So we're going to be doing a little scoring system at the end, and this is purely so that as we do more of these, it will be fun to have kind of a ranking thing, so we can see where like our collective enjoyment of something sits like relative to everything else we've watched. I just think that'll be an interesting.
I think that's cool, and then like you said, because you suggested this particular type of scoring system, if we have a guest on, then it doesn't skew the system, and we can still have an average.
Yeah, we'll work out the average between however many people are on the podcast at once.
So, what would you give it, Wibbly?
Well, I think the best thing to do here is explain a little bit and then give the rating.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So-
I was going to ask to do that.
Okay.
So, like, I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie because I watched it a lot as a kid, and I have tons of nostalgia for Power Rangers in general because, like, I fucking loved Power Rangers. I had all the fucking, like, Zord toys because those are my favourite bit. It's not shocking I got really into kaiju movies as I got older.
No.
But watching it again, it's quite shit. I think some things do work. I think Ivan is fun. His actor is having a fucking whale of a time chewing the scenery, and some of his lines are genuinely funny. I actually think whenever Bulk and Skull are on screen, they're actually quite, like, their chemistry together, I think, works quite well.
Honestly, they make me enjoy any scene they're in.
But they're barely in it.
Yeah, they're really not in it.
And the Bulk and Skull theme isn't in it, which is a major failure.
Yeah.
But when I think about what the actual show was like, this is basically just... It is a really high-budget episode of the show. Nothing more, nothing less. And, like, as far as these things go, it, like... As I said before, like, I know I've really harped on the special effects, like the visual effects.
There's nothing special about them.
Special effects is things that are physically there. Visual effects are
like
CGI,
digitally added.
Yeah, anything that is done like that.
Yes.
So like, but it is purely an age thing. It is purely this was done in the very early days. This was only like a year after Jurassic Park was 94, right?
I think Jurassic Park was 93.
Oh, 93. So, it's a couple of years after Jurassic Park.
They also have him saying Hasta la vista.
Yeah.
Which is also a Terminator 2 reference, which came out in 92, 93 as well.
So...
Which, oh my
I
god.
thought it was 91. I thought Terminator 2 was 91.
I'm sure, like, I always get it confused one way. I always add a year or take a year off.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
It's 91 or 93. And watch it be fucking 90 fucking 2.
But anyway, like, these... so this was, like... There had been movies that had used CGI really well, but they'd done so with very careful use of it in only the places they absolutely couldn't do anything else. Whereas here, they used it for a lot of shit they didn't need to. And that's what they do now, of course, because it's cheaper than building props and safer in some ways.
It's cheaper, it's safer, it's easier to do.
And visual effects artists usually aren't unionised, is the main reason.
Yes. Which, solidarity with SAG-AFTRA. This is a big reason why we didn't do this before there was an agreement met, because solidarity for SAG-AFTRA. Fucking pay people what they fucking deserve, which is a lot more than you're still paying them, let's be honest. Anyway.
But, like, so I can't, like, the special effects do age the movie, and they do make me feel less good about it, because it means that the scenes that involve a lot of it suck. Like, they're just not fun to watch, because they're so primitive, and they're not charming in that way either. I personally don't really find them charming, But... It's fine. I didn't hate watching it, and I've got just enough nostalgia on it that I watch it in a fairly neutral manner. So, like, the only score I can really give it, and bearing in mind I did not know how I'd feel about this going into it, it's just a 5 out of 10. I didn't hate watching it. I didn't love watching it. I thought it had some things that were kind of good, like the fight choreography was generally pretty good, it seemed, but it was just marred by the way in which they stylized it. But... And I guess it's a bad movie that I have just enough nostalgia about to kind of buoy it up to that kind of completely neutral, it's fine. So a 5 for me.
So, what about you?
So, yeah, I went in with very low expectations, gotta be honest. I was expecting it to be proper, like, terrible B-movie style horrendousness. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, yeah, it's got all the various, the acting isn't great, especially looking at a certain Pink Ranger, who was notably bad.
I have feelings.
Again, it could have been direction, and she might have got better, and I don't want to, neg on the actor too much, but it was not great in this for whatever reason.
I mean, to be fair, none of them were at all.
No, none of them were, but the fact that they stood out as being bad when all of them are kind of bad.
That's fair, actually. Yeah.
I think a bit of that is also because
they might have had more lines than the others.
I think they did. Like Kimberly and Tommy as characters are the only ones that kind of had anything to do that was slightly separate from the Gestalt entity theory. And that was
Kalimberly and Tom. We came up with a thing.
I forget.
It's like Mind or Tom Mind or me.
Yeah, like there was enough practical effects in there that looked nice. The CGI, yeah, it was kind of shit, but also it was kind of better than I thought it might be for that era. The soundtrack, we haven't mentioned the soundtrack. The score, like the orchestration, the actual score, I thought was really good. Like
You're actually not wrong there. Yeah.
I'm gonna offend some people here, but it had a very John Williams-esque sort of vibe to it. And I just looked it up, and it was actually performed by the Western Australia Symphony Orchestra or some ridiculous massive orchestra. I'm like, that kind of checks out. The score sounded really good. Like it's presumably before the era that people could do a score quickly, like electronically, and they actually still had to get a full orchestra to do it.
Yeah, they still had to commit to doing it.
So the score was really good, and then the soundtrack itself. Like, I mean, you say it started with Chili Peppers, and I know the Chili Peppers get they're the brunt of. Okay, I'm being selective. I'm trying to pick the positives.
Oh no, that is a positive. I love boy fight, the girl fight.
I mean, the soundtrack, Chili Peppers. There's a Van Halen in there. They Might Be Giants. I've just learnt on the Wikipedia page actually that one of the songs by the guy, so the guy who wrote the score also wrote one of the actual songs for the soundtrack. It's called Firebird, and it has a guitar solo on it, and it's played by Buckethead, which is a fact that I've learnt.
Yeah, he played the original Power Rangers intro.
Ah, cool. Okay.
With the Squeedleys and everything. He did that.
Nice. Oh, I didn't
because
realise.
he's just that guy.
Like, there's good parts to it too. I was tempted to go around a 4 or so, but I think actually there's one point that's ticking me up to the sort of very average 5 is that no one mentioned that when Ooze got out of his egg, someone said excellent, and for that alone reason, I'm bumping it from 4 to a very average 5. I think, all things considered.
This is a wholly subjective system, so you know what? That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
No, it was. I think it's a kid's film. It did what it had to do. It was meant to do. Didn't do any more, but no one was asking it to do any more. So straight down the middle, I think sits well with me.
Okay, so Snipe, what do you think about this movie?
I originally felt quite bad about this movie.
You were mad about this movie.
I was mad about. I mean, to be fair, my brain hasn't been particularly great lately, so I don't think that's helped me very much. But the thing is, I haven't consumed anything Power Rangers in like 110 billion years.
You haven't seen because I've gone back and watched Power Rangers a bit, as an adult, and it's bad.
I put it down in the 90s, and I have not picked it up since. I have not watched an episode. I've barely seen a scene of it. So like the whiplash I got from going back to it, whatever the fuck it is, was quite a slap. I was like, oh my god, was it really this bad? Yes. It was. I don't have the nostalgia there for it, like, you watching it as a kid. So, and like, honestly, I want to give it a 5 purely because of girl fight, boy fight, because that song I'm going to be saying that for years.
And I'm pretty sure that is not actually the lyrics. It does say something like "fight boy, fight girl," but there's other bits to it, and it's
an instructional song. Great.
I can't remember. It's one of those things that instantly like sits in your brain the moment you hear it, but you don't remember it because it's not good enough to remember.
I bet I've done a Tenacious D, and I've written a better song in my head.
You will remember the tribute to Boy Fight.
Yes, this is not the Power Rangers fight song. This is just a boy fight, girl fight. But yeah, I was quite like the CGI was terrible. Shock horror. I'm not a fan of the CGI. I would have preferred some more minis and stuff. Which is like they did miss a trick with not doing that because having it fully Western made and just not using and like trying to utilize some Japanese kind of like cinematography and stuff like that, but not really committing to it. I feel they probably should have gone a bit harder with that and leaned less on the CGI and the fact that they did have like a little miniature monorail and stuff. If they'd have just gone a bit harder on that, I would have liked it a lot more, because I would have been like, ha, man, that's fun.
Oh yeah, if the end part had all been suitmation, I would have.
It would have bumped
it up to a 6, like without even if it wasn't good.
Yeah,
like,
but just because
for
I
me.
love seeing, I'm not even a massive like suit kind of guy.
Yeah, I fucking love.
But I prefer.
miniatures, so.
They are really cool. So I'm gonna give it a 4.
A 4.
I see you guys are giving it a 5, and I'm like, no, I definitely hated it more than you did. But this is a subjective.
That's fair.
This is a subjective thing. But I think I would have given it a 3 if it wasn't boy fight. Which the more I think about it, the more it sounds like a South Park song. The boys are fighting with the girls. There's some monsters, but they're CGI.
Okay, here is our first question then.
Okay.
Because how when we come to a scoring system, how granular do we want the fractions to be?
I think we round up.
Because
we have 0.5. We have 0.5 or like a full number, I would say.
I think we could do with, like, when you say 0.5, do you mean it will go up in like
increments
of 0.5, or do you mean it just has one decimal place?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think increments are 0.5. I think if we
Increments
start
are
getting
0.5,
to like, if we start going like 4, if we say this is 4.7, that just seems a bit.
Yeah.
But...
No, because the thing is, you're going to get a lot of things that are going to come down evenly, and I think
Then
that
you
level of
round them.
granularity.
Yeah.
So you want them to be like, oh, we think this is a 4.6.
Okay.
We should have discussed this before we started recording.
I was going to ask a very... The question was a lot simpler, and I didn't realise I was going to get such a... All I meant is that the result we've got is 4.6 recurring, and I wanted to know where I need to cut that fucking off.
I think round down to 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5.
You don't want
Up to you guys, but
I'm gonna put. I petition for it to be the
So
just to
we
one
round
decimal
up to
place.
4 point something,
So
and
it'll
then
be
the next number we round.
So it'll be 4.7.
4.7. Okay, fine, we'll do that.
okay.
So it's 4.7.
I feel like rounding up is giving it more credit than it deserves, but fair
But
enough.
also we have collectively agreed to 4.7 this.
yeah.
We round to the
to
the nearest, and because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
4.6. Well, 4.66. 4.7 is the nearest.
Because it's the devil.
Anyway, so Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, gets a 4.7 as the official MisanthroPod Movie Club rating.
4.7 out of 10.
Where will that sit compared to the next movie that we are going to talk about? The next movie, which will be selected by Snipe.
Hi!
What movie have you got for us?
I have the incredible, and I may be biased, the 1993 cartoon movie Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
That's a very good movie.
I love. Yeah,
I'm glad we're not just going shit things the whole way down.
This is the thing. I was like, okay, I watched this and I was like, I cannot watch another shit movie for this. So I'm going to put in thing because I'm interested to see Drama Matt because either you haven't seen it or you've probably not seen it in a very long time. So I wanted something that at least one of us maybe was a bit in the dark on. So I was like, I'm on a Batman kick at the moment. I'm Batman. Yeah, but it's Kevin Conroy Batman, so it's like one of the best Batman.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Or is it? You'll just have to wait and see. I need an excuse to watch it again. But yeah, we'll do that for the next episode. So,
Nice.
I think we did really well, and everyone should give us £100. I don't know why
Is this how we make our millions doing a podcast?
Yes, like check Social Blade. I'm pretty sure we're
How
like
would you make the
billionaires.
podcast into a pyramid scheme?
Yeah, pyramid schemes aren't someone sitting there going, "Give me money." It's well, no, it's because it's more like a rhombus scheme. The one I'm suggesting.
Okay.
Drama Matt's at the top. I'm at the bottom. You're in the middle, being a fat cat. You're the person we give money to give to the other people.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, join us next time and let us know what you think in the comments. Like, how would you rate this out of 10 if you've seen it? Did you have a favourite part? Did you think maybe Lord Zed could get it? We want to hear from you. Boost our algorithm. I'll cry.
Because this will be for the video version of this on YouTube. It will be on a new channel, so help us out algorithmically.
And give us £100. Yes. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and we look forward to hanging out with you and talking about the next movie and the next episode of the MisanthroPod Movie Club. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.